At T-Mobile, our critical mission is providing unparalleled 5G coverage for when connectivity is mission critical. Introducing T-Priority, America's best 5G network experience for first responders, even in times of congestion. More capacity, faster speeds, better coverage. T-Priority from T-Mobile, built for tomorrow's emergencies, ready today. Discover more at t-priority.com.
For qualifying organizations on eligible rate plans, coverage not available in some areas and may be impacted by emergencies.
Hey everybody, this is Ricky Warwick from Black Star Riders, the almighty Thin Lizzy, Ricky Warwick solo, and you're listening to the Brutally Delicious Podcast.
1, 2, 3, 4. The Brutally Delicious Podcast. The Brutally Delicious Podcast. The Brutally Delicious Podcast. The Brutally Delicious Podcast.
Let's jump into to Blood Ties. I got a chance to listen to Earache Records for this, and I love it. It's got a lot of influence, obviously, from the bands that you've played in, right? Because I definitely hear something in Lizzy, and I definitely hear that stuff. But it's still you. You just think about trying to intentionally separate from that, and just leave a little, or is that just how it happened?
I think you nailed it. I mean, it's just me in that. I'm primarily the songwriter in Black Star Riders, and I can't really separate myself from myself, if that makes sense. I think what was good about this record was with Black Star Riders being on a hiatus. Black Star Riders previously had always been a day job, and that's the thing that was the forefront and took up my time, and I was focused on. But with that band taking a hiatus going into this record, I could purely concentrate on this solo album without holding anything back, if that makes sense. So any riffs or any ideas before I'd have maybe gone, hang on a minute, I better keep this for the guys. Black Star Riders are going to be pissed if this ends up in the solo record. Right. So this time around, I didn't have that issue. I could just go, everything is for this record, which was great.
All right. So obviously the people who have been fans of yours are going to go along with it because it's not that terribly different, but it's like we said, it's your style. What's been the reaction to the early on?
Not really. I mean, there's a couple of songs like Cricket Stayed in Clovis could be a Black Star Riders song. Absolutely. I can even hear that myself. That could be on any Black Star Riders album. And that's just, I can't really change who I am. It's not like I'm going to go and make a synthesizer album or anything like that. It's all about like guitars and big choruses and melodies, as it always has been, even going back to the almighty stuff. That's always been the way I like to work, and the bands that I love are of that genre as well, and influence me. So that comes across in my writing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So guest stars, you've got some stellar ones. How did those come about? I listened to Lita's voice and I was like, man, she still sounds great.
The Lita story is really good. All the other guys on there are friends who I'm fans of and have now become friends, which is just amazing. Billy Duffy, I've known Billy for over 30 years, and I've always talked about getting him on one of my records. So we finally made it happen. Cult were a huge influence on me when I was starting out, so that's a no-brainer. And Billy's Billy. Nobody plays guitar like Billy Duffy. Charlie Starr was a good friend of Keith Nelson's, my producer. Keith and Charlie were very tight, and Keith mentioned that he thought Charlie would be great in a track. Obviously, Blackberry Smoke are a great band. I don't really know Charlie, so that's one that came from Keith, and Charlie came through that, worked out great. Tuck Smith, I've known Tuck for a while. He's a great kid, great guy. So those are all the connections. The Lita story is the best one, is that I wrote Don't Leave Me in the Dark, and I took it into Keith, and we did a demo of it, and we messed around with the arrangement. And this is going back, 4 years. And I sort of sat on it, and when we came to do this record, we're going through the demos, and the song came up, and I said, I'm hearing this as a duet, and I said it needs like a really cool, hardcore, strong-minded female rock and roller to sing this, like a Joan Jett or a Chrissy Hind or a Lita Ford, and Keith goes, yeah, absolutely. So we did a demo of it, and I used a girl called Siobhan Kelly, who sang on the last Black Star Rise album, did some backing vocals, and I did it with her as a demo, just to have as a duet. And I'm kind of going, okay, I got to get somebody really cool here. I get a phone call out of the blue from my manager going, "Hey man, you'll never guess who I've just picked up for management." And I was like, okay. He goes, "Lita Ford." I was like, hold that thought. I have a song. Could you please send it to Lita? And I'd never met Lita, and my manager sent her the song, and she loved it. And lovely. She knew who I was. Obviously, I knew who she was, and she said, "I'm in 100%. Let's. I'd love to be on the song. This is fantastic." So the only way it could work out in our schedules was we were recording in LA. Lita lives out in Phoenix, and she flew into LA. I was on tour. I was on tour last year with Stiff Little Fingers in America. I couldn't be in the studio. So I'm sitting on a tour bus in like Portland, Oregon on FaceTime while she's in the studio with Keith laying down these vocals. And it's the first time I've ever met her as well, So it was all a bit strange, but brilliant. Just one of those days where you're kind of going, okay, I'm on tour with Stiff Little Fingers. That's fucking really cool. Lita Ford's in the studio singing on my song. That's really fucking cool. My inner 14-year-old's like freaking out here. She nailed it. She did a fantastic job. And then I met her properly for the first time when we shot the video. And she was everything I'd hoped she'd be and more. She's just great. She's just fantastic.
Yeah. I grew up listening to her, so that's great stuff.
Yeah.
So going through the songs and listening to it, I know there's got to be some sort of message or takeaway you want your fans to have after listening to it, right? This is a pretty deep record.
Yeah, I think that, Bruce, that getting on in life and it's cheesy. It sounds. You really stop caring about. You have nothing to lose. I think that's what it is, and I think that there was no holding back. Maybe before some of the lyrical stuff, I maybe would have held back, or I would have just skimmed over the surface. I just sort of put it all out there in this record. Getting sober. I'm 3 years sober now, and that happened during the process of this record, and that was something that was quite a big thing in my life. That obviously the song "Angels of Desolation" is all about that. So I laid it out there, a lot of family stuff going on, watching my kids grow up and leave home and seeing what they're dealing with in the crazy world we live in today. So there's a lot to write about, obviously, everything that's going on in the world right now. There's so much information. And I just thought, you know what, I'm just going to put it all out there in this record. And that's what I did.
It definitely comes through. I like what you said there. There's so much information. It's terrible everywhere, right? Even like as a business or as a band, you have to keep ahead of the noise, and it's almost impossible because there's so much noise. Yeah. But it also just like it gets in your skull, and you need to get away from it at some point and turn this crap off.
It's like, to me, lyric writing it's a diary. If I didn't write lyrics, they'd all be in a diary, and that's what they are. It's like, if you want to know what my political views are, religious views, how I feel about stuff, read the lyrics. It's all in there. Because if it wasn't, it would be in a book. You know what I mean? Every day I'd be writing it down. So all I'm doing is writing a diary and just, letting everybody open it and see what's going on inside my head.
Yeah. You ever feel you're too vulnerable during that then?
Every day. I'm a very quite an emotional person. I'm a Cancerian, so I'm very sensitive. So things get to me, and I let things get to me a lot more than they should. That's just who I am and the way I am. So yeah, I'm very aware of what people think, probably more so than I should be. But that's who I am, and that's what makes me who I am, and that's okay. I can take criticism. But I'm not going to say I'm not a vulnerable person, because I definitely feel that I am.
How cathartic was it writing this?
It was great. It was really good. Thank you. It was, like I said, I touched on Angels of Desolation. That was great to write that song and just get that out there. And there was definitely a few demons let loose and put to the sword on this record.
So how does that work when you go live then, if you don't mind me indulging you on this for a second? So,
sure.
You exercise those demons, as we just said, in Angels of Desolation. But then Do you end up revisiting that when you play it every night live, or or are you detached enough?
You can, every show is different. You can get the shows where you're just so caught up in it and you're playing the song and the song hits you and you're like, God, that was a rough time, or that was a good time, or this lyric, well, I'm really proud of this lyric, or, and then you get the shows where you're kind of going, did my daughter put the car in the garage tonight before she went to bed? Just dumb stuff. And those are the weirdest shows, because you're sort of going, hang on a minute, why am I thinking about this? I'm playing in front of all these people. And so every show is different, but there's certainly moments where you connect with a song again and relive it all over again, and it can get to you. Absolutely.
So I'm a big Family guy, and I love that I believe your stepdaughter did the cover. How did that come about?
She did.
It's great.
Thank you. She is a fantastic artist, and has been since she was little. And she's done a few bits and pieces for me over the years, but nothing as big as the album cover. And she moved out a couple of years ago. She's living in North Carolina now. And I just said, hey, Zoe, I've got this album coming out. I think it'd be great if you did the cover. And she's like, yeah. She's like, what you got, send it over. And I said, well, here's what it's called. Here's a couple of the lyrics. Here's what I'm thinking. And boom, she sent back the sort of tree of life, family tree coming out of the heart with the branches being represented as arteries and veins. And I just went, you nailed it. This is brilliant, Zoe. Thank you so much. So, and it's lovely, just with the album being called Blood Ties and the whole family connection and everything. I just wanted to keep it, it kind of makes sense.
This episode is brought to you by Coffee Mate. After watching this season of the HBO's original series, The White Lotus, this is the tropical getaway I needed. One more pina colada, please.
Hey, you're not on mute.
Oh, I thought I was in paradise. Turns out it was my Coffee Mate. Coffee Mate pina colada and Thai iced coffee flavored creamers. Inspired by the newest season of HBO's original series, The White Lotus. For the love of coffee. Try now.
It's all full circle on that, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I know you have 8 million projects going on. Are you taking this out on the road?
Absolutely. I said I'm leaving tomorrow, and we start in the UK with a couple of headline shows with my backing band, the Fighting Hearts, the solo band I take out with me. And then we're on tour with Stiff Little Fingers in the UK all through March. And then hopefully in the festival season, I know I've got a few solo shows coming up end of April in Illinois, 3 or 4 shows up around the Moline area. So as much as I can, solo, if I can't bring the band, I'll do it solo acoustic. I want to promote the hell out of this record.
Solo acoustic. I can imagine some of these songs stripped down like that. That whole different vibe.
That's how they're written, and the solo acoustic thing is something I do a lot. And I love doing it. I love playing solo acoustic. I feel very comfortable doing it, and I just like the freedom that it gives me as well. But yeah, nearly, I'd say, 95% of the time when I'm writing, everything's written on an acoustic guitar.
So you don't ever feel, I know these are maybe out of the box questions, but you don't ever feel uncomfortable sitting on a stool playing those acoustic without the band?
Well, no, I don't, because I've been doing it for, solo acoustic, almost 25 years. And I've been in situations where I've done a whole tour with Def Leppard, opening up solo acoustic in front of their rabid fans every night, and got away with it. I went out with Stiff Little Fingers last May in the States, did that solo acoustic. So I've been in all those situations, and it's the best thing ever, because you've nobody to rely on but yourself.
You can't.
So your playing has to be good. Your singing has to be good. I don't sit down. I'm not one of those singer-songwriters sit in the stool, feel my pain, the world is shit type kind of people. I get up there, beat the shit out of the guitar, play standing up, and try and make it sound like, it's one guy, but it's a big sound.
People listening or any fans want to find you, can you give us your socials or whatever?
Yeah, I'm on everywhere. I'm on X, Facebook, Instagram, all that good stuff. RickyWarwick.com for the official website, but all the links are on the official website. But you just type in Ricky Warwick, the search engine, it'll come up.
Awesome. I thank you for your time. It's March release, right? Like March 14th or something?
March 14th, Bruce, yeah.
Perfect. I remembered, but I didn't even look. Yeah, so I encourage people to go out and check it out.
Thank you, my friend. I appreciate you.
You got it, brother. Have a good day. Thank you.
Hey everyone, this is Bjorn from Soulwork, and this is Brutally Delicious.
Hey there, heavy metal maniacs and kitchen crusaders. I'm Bruce Moore, the host of the Brutally Delicious podcast, where we whisk up a blend of metal and food to quench even the most discriminate tastes. Have you ever wondered what your favorite metal musician chows down on before they hit the stage to melt your face off? Well, look no further. Here at the Brutally Delicious podcast, we have cooking segments so brutal they'll make your oven want to headbang. From beefy, bodacious burgers to spicy, succulent salmon, to kickin' caliente cauliflower, and more. We mix metal and culinary creations, resulting in a feast for the senses.
But wait, there's more.
Hey, this is Michael Monroe. Brutally Delicious. Isn't that beautiful? See you down the road.
Each week, I meet with the mammoths of metal for interviews that are spicier than a Carolina Reaper. Get the latest on their upcoming shows, behind-the-scenes stories, and if we're lucky enough, maybe they'll share a secret family recipe or two with us. You'll also want to check out our weekly album and show reviews, where we dice, slice, and serve up our unique takes on the latest metal releases. So grab your leather apron, crank the volume to 11, and subscribe to the Brutally Delicious podcast on your favorite podcast platform. It's sure to be a hell of a time.
Oh, hey there. It's Tim from Protest the Hero. Now that you've seen my junk, I'm going to show you how to make a pizza. And you're watching Brutally Delicious.
What's up, everybody? Max Cavalera, Soulfly, and you listen to Brutally Delicious podcast. Stay metal, motherfuckers.
Every listener to Too Much Effing Perspective knows that my co-host Alan Keller is a music nerd, and right up there in his pantheon with the Beatles and Elvis Costello is The Clash. So Alan, it's one thing for you to be a nerd, but how did you rope in a cool guy, 311's Nick Hexum, into a full-on Clash geek fest on our show?
Well, first of all, Alex, it was your idea.
Oh, right.
Second, Nick actually jammed with The Clash's Joe Strummer in a supergroup that included Flea and Tom Morello.
Okay, well, there is that.
And finally, one member of The Clash cited This Is Spinal Tap, the reason our show even exists, as his favorite movie.
Which one?
Hey, if you want to find out, you got to listen to Too Much Effing Perspective. That's Too Much EFFING Perspective. The only podcast you crank up to 11.